Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I post writing videos on Wednesdays, book related videos on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you then. With that being said, here are the 10 books that I read in 2024 that I gave 5 star. Now we're going to start off with the last book I read in 2023. First book I finished in 2024, which is none other than Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, which is book one of the Me Before You trilogy. Now, this book basically follows Louisa Clark and Will Trainer. Will had an accident and he's now a quadriplegic, and his parents basically hired Louisa to help him around, and they fell in love, and it was really lovely. There's even a movie about it, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to read it, because I thought that because of I had watched a movie, and in the past when I've watched a movie about that's also a book, I tend not to enjoy the book once I watch the movie, but I really loved it, so definitely read it. Now, moving along, the next book I read is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I don't remember much that happened in this book, to be completely honest, and I could go ahead and I could Google it and research it, but that wouldn't be me being honest to myself and you. And then we're moving along. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I knew this follows like a couple who are married, and after 10 years, they decide to go on a vacation to try to fix their marriage, and a lot of spooky stuff happened. I really loved it, so definitely read. If you are looking for a good mystery, I don't know. Alice Bean has this way of like hooking you within like the first 2 pages or the first 2 lines. She definitely has that hook on me, so I definitely love her books. The next book I rated 5 star was Caraval, which is book one of the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber. Now, I really enjoy this because as a kid, I was that kid who enjoyed going to the circus and all of that. So that was one of the reasons why I really love this book. It follows Donatella and Scarlett. So Scarlett has always been writing to the Master of Legend, the Master of Caraval, which is legend, and he never responded, but this year he does, and she and her sister Donatella went to the event, and then she finds out that Donatella is a part of Caraval, and she has like 3 days to find her sister. A lot of nice spooky stuff happen. This is a YA fantasy, so if you're definitely one of those persons who love YA, then you would definitely enjoy this. We're moving along, and when I reach for my book, it is Fort Wing. Now, I read this. I could say I read this because of the popularity. I could say I read this because of the hype. But I read this for the dragons. I will read. I will watch any. Give me a movie. Give me a book. As long as there's dragons in it, I'll watch it. So this is Fort Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is book one of the Empyrean series, and it follows Scarlet. I was about to say Scarlett Johansson, but it doesn't. I don't know what. I don't know. I've read this book and I know her name, but every time I go to tell someone about her, I always call her Scarlett. Her name is Violet Sorrengail, which is I think is a really beautiful, cool name. And she lives in this world where there are scribes and there are writers, and she was supposed to be a scribe like her dad, but after her dad passed away, her mother, who is also the commander for the writer quadrant, decides that she's gonna force her to become a writer. So we see her go through the process of becoming a writer, and she was successful, obviously. And there's a lot going on, like it's very political. You get to learn about the world. There's a lot of secrets. There's enemies to lovers. There's found family, and I love it for the dragons. I'm not even gonna lie. I love it for the dragons. And I love the little codes that are at the top that kind of gives you like flashback. And I love any book that will leave you Easter eggs because I am one of those people. I love Easter egg hunting or whatever. So we're moving along. Now, if you've been watching my videos long enough, or if you've watched any of these videos I've done so far, you know that this is my favorite book of all time. This is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and this is book one of the Letters of Enchantment. And like I bought this solely, like, I'm that person, like, I won't even, I don't buy books based on how popular they are. I bought this based on the premise. I love letters. I love a world where people don't use cell phones. I'm currently writing a novel right now, and that's one of the things that no cell phones. I love a world where it's my phone. I should have turned off the notification. I love a world where the only way for people to communicate is by writing letters. And I think there's something beautiful about that. And this follows Roman, Kit, and Iris Vino. They're like workplace rivals. They're trying to get the same like position at their news outlet, which is the Oak Gazette. And we see them trying to compete to try to get like the job. It was actually promised to Roman until Iris came along, and so he wasn't happy about that. And there's also a war going on between the sky goddess Enva and the earth god Dacre. And so Iris' brother has gone off to war, and she has been writing him letters. And this is one of the things I love about the way when she writes letters, she puts them in her closet, and she realized that the letters are disappearing, and she doesn't know where they're going to. And then one day she got a response. Someone was responding to her, and there's this part of the book that I really love. Like there's just some things that Roman did that I'm like Chef's Kiss, favorite book of I think for now this is my favorite book of all time. They have like these really special copies, and I definitely want to get a special copy. I could go on and talk about that book for days. So we're moving along to Iron Flame, which is book two of the Imperium series. Now this picks up right where book one left off at the end. Um, Violet found out a really big secret that Zayden, which is her love interest, has been hiding. And in book two, what I love is that in book one, the world seemed kind of like perfect. You're getting to know like what the world is like day to day, what are the struggles they go through as writers and the challenges. And then book two is when you get to see everything falls apart, and you see how the 1 year that all the writers have got to think they were comfortable, you see all of them like now trying to use the skills that they've learned in 1 year to survive in a world that they basically know nothing about. Because it's like when you send kids to high school for the first time, or you send them off to college, and it's like they're out there just trying to survive. And I really love that. And then we get to see more of the dragons, because that's why I'm reading this book. We get to see more of the dragons, and we get to learn more about the special abilities that they have. So when you bond with your dragon, you get to um earnest. You can basically use the powers of your dragon. And I think that's really cool. Like I said, I'm reading this for the dragons. So moving on. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Emily Henry, as I've read like three of her books and realized that I really don't like her writing. But the only five-star book I've read out of the three was Happy Place. And it wasn't even for the romance, because I could have cared less if Win and Harriet got together. I really did not care about them. I still don't know why they broke up. The reason why I gave this a 5 star, and the reason why I loved it is because of the found family trope. There are six friends. They go every summer since they've been in college. They go to one of their friends. I don't remember names. They go to one of their friends' like house, and this summer the house is being sold. So when and I when and Harriet broke up, and two of their friends are supposed to get married that weekend. When and Harriet basically decide to fake date and all that, they rekindle. What I love is how she does flashbacks, and I love that when she does a flashback, it's not heavily focused on just Harriet and Wynn's relationship, which I really don't care anything about. They focus on the larger group, how they've grown, and how, like when you're a child, you think that the people who are your friends will be your friends forever, and the thought of you and them not being friends anymore is really scary. And the thought that because you now have different interests, you might drift apart is also really scary. And the fact that even though a lot has changed between all these friends, they're still able to piece themselves together to become a whole. I really, really love that. I love that in books. I love books about friendship and all that. So, like I said, you can read it for the romance, but I just have to tell you that I didn't read it for the romance. I could care less about those two. Then, one of my I bought this. I went to my library and I saw this book, and this was just for solely for the cover. I think the cover is really beautiful, and at one point it got a lot of hype. And it is "Hello Beautiful" by Napolitano. I keep saying her name wrong. I don't mean to, but this I don't know if you've ever watched Little Women. I know about Little Women. I haven't watched it. It gives Little Women vibe, and I don't know how to explain the book to you without spoiling it, but it's not it's just what do you call it? It's just fiction. I'm trying to find like the genre. It could be like a kind of a literary fiction, like because it wasn't about the romance, and we got to see like and I don't even remember any of their names, but there are five of them. There are four sisters and one guy, and we just see how they grow, how they break apart, and how through tragedy and a lot of grief they come together. And I just think that it started high and it ended high. And I don't know how to explain this book to you without spoiling key points, because everything that happened is leading up to the big moment. It also deal with a lot of depression as well, and it speaks about anxiety. And I think that in the 21st century we don't really, or it's a lot of books that speaks about depression and anxiety and just trying to survive and trying to meet the standards that people are putting on you. I don't think that there a lot of those books are heavily promoted, like how you promote a book. Like when you go on TikTok, I've seen like this on TikTok like probably once or twice, like when someone does like what they're reading a month. But it's not something where you see they'll be hyping it up. Like even though Iron Flame came out so long ago, people are still talking about it now. I just don't think that a lot of these books get the hype that they should. And I don't know how to explain it to you without spoiling it. So if you think I give good book recommendations, then definitely read it. Then one of the last books I read is I'm gonna just pick it up. And to be honest, I only like I don't care what anyone says. I know people keep saying that, oh, they're not buying books for the covers, or I buy books I I buy books for the cover. I'm that person. I've stopped reading synopsis because they're lying. Half the time I read the synopsis and I go into the book, nothing that they said on the back of the book happens. So I stopped reading synopsis. So if the cover looks really nice, if I see a name that looks like a familiar name, or I've seen that name somewhere, I say okay. Or if they have like specific words on the cover, like I picked this book up from my library. This I After reading this and loving it, that's when I bought this copy. I actually got the original copy I read from my library, and I picked it up solely for the word Chateau Lafayette. I don't know anything. I one of my goals this year is to learn a new language. And while French is not on that, because I have no intentions of learning to speak French, I love French. I could sit down and listen to people speak French all day long. And this is a historical fiction by Stephanie Dre. Once again, another book that I don't see talked about a lot, and it was during the time of war. I know people don't like to talk about that stuff, but what I loved about this is how it shows through three different time period, how three different women contributed and how they were surviving. Because the war during war times they focus mostly on like men or dying at war, but I don't talk about the women that are left behind with their kids. They don't talk about the daughters that are left behind when their dad is gone. They don't talk about the children that never meet the girl all the girls who never get to see their husband again. I just think that's not talked about a lot, and this is something that's talked about heavily in this book. So in terms of like the acts of war, they're not they're not they're not like shown. It's more like tell. Like you'd hear someone say, "Oh, we heard that so and so died." So if you're someone who don't want to read it because you don't want to read about the war part, then it's not heavily focused on that. It's just focused on like how women survived during that time, and I think that's really beautiful. And this was the only historical fiction book I read last year, and I feel so bad. Also, I've only read 37 books, so of the 37 books I read, 10 of them were 10-star, which I don't know what that says about me because anyways, those are all the 10-star books I read in 2024. Let me know down below what 10-star. Why did I say 10-star? Let me know down below what 5-star books you've read in 2024. Also, are any of my 5-star books on your list? If not, then I suggest that. And this is like my friendly prompt that we're trying to branch out in our reading this year. We're trying to read more books, discover more books. Also, I'm always open to book recommendations. I'm planning to read, even though I failed my goal last year of reading 100 books, I'm planning to read 150 this year. So I'm open to book recommendations. Today is, I think, the 10th of January, and I'm almost done reading Belladonna, but I haven't done reading a book, so I still have like 355 more days to go and 150 books. So we're talking like about one book for every 2 days or something along that line. But wish me luck, and we're at the end of our video because I could go on and on and on and on. And I know that I'm not gonna sit down and listen to myself talk, so I just think it wouldn't be fair to you. So if you've been watching by now, you know the outro. Have a wonderful year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.